Welcome, brave souls, to Whispers in the Dark, your go-to channel for spine-chilling tales and haunted histories. Here, we delve deep into the eerie corners of the world, where shadows whisper secrets and walls echo with stories untold. Today, we embark on a chilling journey through one of the most intriguing and unsettling realms of the paranormal: haunted hotels. These are not just places to rest your head, they are portals to another dimension, where the past lingers, the dead refuse to leave, and every creaking floorboard tells a tale of tragedy or terror. From opulent Victorian mansions turned luxury accommodations to rustic lodges steeped in frontier lore, the United States is home to some of the most haunted hotels in the world. Each property carries its own dark history: murders, suicides, unexplained disappearances, and ghostly apparitions that defy logic and reason. Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, prepare to have your curiosity piqued and your courage tested as we step into the shadowy corridors of these infamous establishments. In this two-part series, we will uncover the chilling legends behind America's most haunted hotels, exploring the real-life events that gave rise to their spectral reputations. We'll meet restless spirits who roam grand ballrooms, hear whispers from long-forgotten guests, and even encounter malevolent entities determined to make their presence known. Along the way, we'll share eyewitness accounts, documented evidence, and spine-tingling encounters that have left travelers questioning everything they thought they knew about life and death. So grab your flashlight, keep your wits about you, and join us as we check into the most haunted hotels in the United States. Let the whispers begin. The Stanley Hotel, a grand stage for ghostly performances nestled in the picturesque town of Estes Park, Colorado. The Stanley Hotel stands as an architectural marvel, a pristine example of Georgian Revival design perched against the breathtaking backdrop of the Rocky Mountains. Built in 1909 by Freeland Oscar Stanley, inventor of the Stanley steamer automobile, the hotel was envisioned as a luxurious retreat for affluent travelers seeking respite amidst nature's splendor. Its elegant facade, sprawling verandas, and meticulously crafted interiors exude an air of timeless sophistication, making it a magnet for celebrities, dignitaries, and curious tourists alike. Yet beneath its polished veneer lies a darker narrative, one steeped in mystery, tragedy, and the supernatural. The Stanley Hotel's haunted reputation began almost as soon as it opened its doors. One of the earliest reported incidents involved Mr. Stanley himself, who claimed to see the ghostly figure of a woman in white wandering the halls late at night. Over the decades, countless staff members and guests have added to the growing list of paranormal occurrences. Among the most frequently cited phenomena is Room 217, a suite infamous for its alleged resident spirit, a housekeeper named Elizabeth Wilson. According to local lore, Elizabeth was injured in a gas explosion during the hotel's early years but miraculously survived. Her benevolent presence is said to linger in Room 217, where she tidies up after guests, tucks them into bed, and occasionally rearranges furniture. While her actions are often interpreted as friendly, some visitors report feeling uneasy under her watchful gaze, as though they've overstayed their welcome. But Elizabeth is far from the only specter said to haunt the Stanley. The sprawling ballroom, once the site of lavish parties and concerts, now serves as a stage for ghostly performances of a different kind. Staff members recount hearing phantom orchestras playing faint melodies long after the last guest has departed, while others describe seeing dancers gliding across the empty floor in full period attire. In one particularly eerie episode, a maintenance worker entered the ballroom late at night to retrieve forgotten equipment, and froze in his tracks when he saw dozens of shadowy figures twirling in perfect synchronization. When he called out, the room fell silent, leaving him alone in the vast emptiness. Perhaps the most unsettling aspect of the Stanley's haunted legacy stems from its association with Stephen King's iconic novel The Shining. In 1974, King and his wife stayed at the hotel during its off-season, an experience that inspired the chilling tale of isolation and madness. Though King later admitted that the hotel itself wasn't overly frightening during his visit, the eerie atmosphere and sense of solitude planted the seeds for what would become one of literature's greatest horror stories. Since then, fans of the book and film adaptations have flocked to the Stanley, eager to glimpse the inspiration behind the Overlook Hotel. Many claim to feel an inexplicable heaviness pressing down on them as they wander the labyrinthine corridors, while others report hearing children laughing or crying in empty hallways. Some even swear they've seen the ghostly twins immortalized in Kubrick's film standing at the end of a corridor, beckoning them closer. For those brave enough to spend the night, the Stanley offers guided ghost tours and overnight stays designed to immerse visitors in its haunted history. Participants recount being awakened by cold spots hovering over their beds, hearing disembodied footsteps pacing outside their rooms, or catching glimpses of shadowy figures darting just beyond the edge of vision. Paranormal investigators armed with EMF meters, thermal cameras, and audio recorders have captured compelling evidence suggesting the presence of unexplained activity. EVP recordings reveal faint whispers urging guests to leave or turn back, while thermal imaging footage shows fleeting heat signatures appearing and disappearing without explanation. What sets the Stanley apart from other haunted hotels is its ability to evoke both awe and apprehension. It is a place where beauty and terror coexist seamlessly, where the grandeur of its architecture contrasts sharply with the weight of its haunted past. For every guest enchanted by its charm, there is another left unsettled by its unseen inhabitants. As you walk its hallowed halls, peer into its ornate mirrors, or sit quietly in its stately lounges, remember, the Stanley Hotel is more than just a historic landmark. It is a living, breathing testament to the enduring power of the unseen. And if you dare to check in, tread lightly. You never know who or what might be watching. The Crescent Hotel and Spa, a haunting blend of luxury and lore perched atop West Mountain in Eureka Springs, Arkansas, the Crescent Hotel and Spa is a stunning beacon of Victorian elegance, its limestone exterior glowing softly under the moonlight. Built in 1886, this architectural gem was originally conceived as a luxury resort for the wealthy elite, offering panoramic views of the Ozark Mountains and a level of opulence rarely seen in the region. Guests were treated to fine dining, lavish suites, and state-of-the-art amenities, all set against a backdrop of natural beauty. Yet, despite its outward charm, the Crescent's history is anything but serene. Beneath its polished surface lies a tapestry of tragedy, deception, and the supernatural, earning it the title of America's Most Haunted Hotel. One cannot discuss the Crescent's haunted legacy without delving into its infamous association with Norman G. Baker, a fraudulent doctor who transformed the hotel into a cancer hospital in the 1930s. Baker, a charismatic charlatan with no formal medical training, promised desperate patients miraculous cures using bizarre and unproven treatments. His methods ranged from radiation therapy administered by unqualified staff to outright quackery involving colored lights and herbal concoctions. Patients suffered greatly under his care, many dying prematurely due to misdiagnosis or neglect. When authorities finally shut down Baker's operation, the hotel's reputation was left in tatters, forever tainted by the suffering endured within its walls. Today, the spirits of Baker's victims are said to haunt the Crescent, their anguished cries echoing through its corridors. One of the most harrowing accounts involves room 419, believed to have been used as an operating room during Baker's tenure. Guests staying in this room have reported waking up to the sound of agonized screams, accompanied by the sensation of invisible hands pinning them down. Others describe seeing bloodstains mysteriously appear on the carpet, only to vanish moments later. The elevator, which inexplicably stops at the 4th floor regardless of its intended destination, is rumored to be a favorite haunt of these tormented souls. Some claim to see shadowy figures boarding the car, their faces pale and hollow-eyed, before vanishing into thin air. Beyond the horrors of Baker's era, the Crescent is home to several other well-documented ghosts whose stories span centuries. Among them is Michael, a stonemason who fell to his death during the hotel's construction. Said to reside in the basement, Michael's presence is often marked by the sound of hammering and the scent of fresh mortar. Staff members have reported tools moving on their own or finding completed repairs they didn't perform, leading them to believe Michael continues his work in the afterlife. Another frequent visitor is Theodora, a bride who tragically took her own life after being jilted at the altar. Her ethereal form has been spotted wandering the gardens in her wedding gown, her face obscured by a veil of sorrow. Guests lucky enough to encounter her describe her as both beautiful and heartbreakingly sad, her mournful energy lingering like a chill in the air. Modern-day visitors to the Crescent often find themselves caught in the crossfire of its spectral inhabitants. Paranormal investigators flock to the hotel year-round, drawn by its reputation as a hotspot for unexplained phenomena. Using advanced technology such as infrared cameras and digital recorders, they've captured compelling evidence suggesting the presence of multiple entities. EVP recordings reveal voices speaking in languages consistent with the hotel's historical periods, while thermal imaging footage captures fleeting images of figures standing motionless in doorways. Perhaps most disturbing are the reports of physical interactions, guests pushed, scratched, or even locked inside rooms by unseen forces. What makes the Crescent uniquely terrifying is its ability to blur the line between allure and unease. By day, it operates as a serene spa retreat, welcoming guests with plush robes, rejuvenating treatments, and gourmet meals. But by night, its tranquil facade gives way to something far more sinister. Those brave enough to explore its dimly lit hallways or venture into its shadowy alcoves often return with tales of inexplicable encounters. Doors slam shut on their own, chandeliers sway without a breeze, and faint laughter drifts through empty corridors. Even casual patrons sipping cocktails in the bar have described feeling an icy breath on their necks or spotting figures reflected in mirrors that aren't there in person. For those willing to embrace the unknown, the Crescent offers guided ghost tours and overnight paranormal investigations, allowing guests to immerse themselves in its haunted history. Participants recount being awakened by the sensation of someone sitting on the edge of their bed, hearing whispered names in empty rooms, or catching glimpses of translucent figures drifting past windows. Some claim to feel a sudden drop in temperature, as though passing through a portal into another realm entirely. What sets the Crescent apart from other haunted hotels is its seamless integration of luxury and lore. It is a place where indulgence meets intrigue, where the same walls that shelter pampered guests also harbor restless spirits. Whether you're savoring a massage in the spa or braving the basement in search of ghosts, the Crescent demands respect, not just for its architectural splendor, but for the lives lost within its confines. As you ascend its grand staircase or sip tea in its sunlit conservatory, remember, the Crescent Hotel and Spa is not merely a destination for relaxation, it is a sanctuary for the supernatural. And if you choose to stay, tread lightly, you never know who might be sharing your suite. The Queen Mary, a floating fortress of fear docked permanently in Long Beach, California. The RMS Queen Mary is a colossal relic of maritime history, its Art Deco elegance belying a darker, more sinister side. Once hailed as the epitome of transatlantic luxury, this ocean liner ferried passengers, including royalty, celebrities, and soldiers, across the Atlantic for nearly 4 decades. However, beneath its glamorous veneer lies a haunting legacy shaped by wartime tragedies, mysterious deaths, and countless unexplained phenomena. Today, the Queen Mary stands as one of the most haunted locations in the United States, a floating fortress of fear where the echoes of the past reverberate through its steel corridors and cavernous decks. During World War II, the Queen Mary was repurposed as a troopship, earning the nickname, the Grey Ghost, due to its stealthy voyages painted in drab camouflage. It transported thousands of Allied troops, often carrying as many as 15,000 men crammed into spaces designed for fewer than 2,000. This overcrowding led to numerous accidents, including one of the most infamous maritime disasters in modern history. On October 2, 1942, the Queen Mary collided with her escort ship, HMS Curacao, slicing the smaller vessel in half and sending hundreds of sailors to a watery grave. Survivors recounted the horrific scene, men screaming as they were pulled under by the suction of the sinking ship, their cries mingling with the groaning metal of the Queen Mary's hull. Many believe the spirits of these doomed sailors still haunt the vessel, their anguished voices carried on the wind that sweeps through its open decks. Another tragic incident occurred in 1966, when 18-year-old engineering officer John Petter was crushed to death in the ship's bowels while attempting to pass through a watertight door. His body was discovered wedged in the mechanism, a grim reminder of the dangers faced by those who worked below deck. To this day, Petter's ghost is said to roam the engine rooms and lower levels of the Queen Mary, his presence announced by the sound of heavy boots clanging against the metal floors. Maintenance workers have reported tools mysteriously moving or disappearing, only to reappear later in odd locations. Some claim to see a shadowy figure wearing coveralls darting through the dimly lit passages, vanishing whenever approached. The Queen Mary's most notorious haunted area is cabin B340, a modest yet chilling space infamous for its spectral activity. Formerly reserved for third-class passengers, this cabin has been the site of numerous paranormal encounters, prompting the hotel management to remove it from circulation entirely. Guests assigned to B340 have reported being awakened by violent shaking, as though the ship were caught in a storm despite calm seas. Others describe hearing knocks on the walls or door, only to find no one there when they investigate. Cold spots hover inexplicably in corners of the room, and objects have been known to move on their own. More disturbingly, some visitors claim to see the apparition of a man dressed in vintage clothing standing at the foot of their bed, his expression unreadable but undeniably menacing. Paranormal investigators have long been drawn to the Queen Mary, intrigued by its reputation as a nexus of residual hauntings and intelligent spirits. Armed with EMF meters, thermal cameras, and audio recording devices, researchers have captured compelling evidence suggesting the presence of unexplained phenomena throughout the ship. EVP recordings reveal faint voices speaking in languages consistent with the Queen Mary's heyday, while thermal imaging footage shows fleeting heat signatures appearing and disappearing without explanation. One particularly chilling episode involved a team member who captured a photograph of a translucent figure standing near the first-class pool, a space now closed to the public due to rampant reports of paranormal activity. The figure resembled a woman in a 1930s swimsuit, her face partially obscured by water droplets that seemed to materialize out of nowhere. The swimming pool area itself is considered one of the ship's most active hotspots. During its operational years, the pool was a hub of social activity, hosting glamorous parties and lively games. Yet, it is also tied to several tragic events, including drownings and accidental injuries. Visitors report hearing the splash of water and the laughter of children, though the pool has been drained for decades. Some claim to see wet footprints leading away from the edge of the basin, only to evaporate moments later. Others describe feeling an overwhelming sense of sadness or despair, as though the joy of the past has been replaced by an indelible sorrow. What makes the Queen Mary uniquely terrifying is its sheer scale and complexity. With over 700 rooms spread across multiple decks, the ship offers endless opportunities for exploration and potential encounters with the unknown. Its labyrinthine corridors, narrow stairwells, and claustrophobic compartments create an environment ripe for psychological unease. For those brave enough to take a guided tour or participate in an overnight paranormal investigation, the experience is akin to stepping into a nightmare, one where the line between reality and imagination blurs dangerously. Shadows seem to stretch unnaturally, sounds distort unpredictably, and the very structure of the ship appears to groan under the weight of its haunted history. Despite, or perhaps because of, its haunted reputation, the Queen Mary remains a popular tourist attraction, drawing visitors eager to glimpse the supernatural. Whether you're sipping a cocktail in the Art Deco lounge, wandering the eerily quiet promenade deck, or venturing into the bowels of the ship, the Queen Mary ensures that the boundary between the living and the dead feels perilously thin. So, whether you're raising a glass to toast its storied past or braving the engine room in search of ghosts, remember, aboard the Queen Mary, history doesn't just sail, it haunts. The Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel, glamour meets the supernatural in the heart of Los Angeles, where dreams are made and stars shine brightest, stands the Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel, a bastion of old-school glamour and cinematic history. Opened in 1927, this iconic establishment quickly became a playground for Hollywood's elite, hosting legendary figures such as Marilyn Monroe, Charlie Chaplin, and Clark Gable. Its Spanish colonial revival architecture, lush courtyards, and elegant interiors reflect an era when Tinseltown was synonymous with sophistication and excess. Yet, behind its gilded facade lies a darker narrative, one woven with threads of tragedy, mystery, and the supernatural. The Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel is not merely a monument to fame and fortune. It is a stage where the living and the dead perform a macabre dance, their stories intertwined in ways that defy explanation. One of the most enduring legends centers around Marilyn Monroe, whose ethereal beauty and tragic life continue to captivate audiences worldwide. During the early days of her career, Monroe reportedly stayed in Suite 1200, a modest yet charming room overlooking the bustling streets of Hollywood. But Monroe is not the only celebrity ghost said to haunt the Roosevelt. Montgomery Clift, the brooding actor best known for his role in A Place in the Sun, reportedly occupies room 928. Clift spent weeks holed up in the room preparing for his part in From Here to Eternity, subjecting himself to grueling rehearsals and exhausting workouts to transform his physique. His dedication came at a cost, however, as he suffered a nervous breakdown shortly after completing filming. Today, guests staying in room 928 have reported hearing the sound of a trumpet playing late at night, despite the absence of any musical instruments. Others describe seeing a disheveled man pacing the hallway, muttering lines under his breath before vanishing into thin air. Some believe Clift's restless spirit remains tethered to the hotel, reliving the moments of intense focus and anguish that defined his stay. Beyond its celebrity hauntings, the Roosevelt harbors darker secrets rooted in its early years. The hotel's original owner, William H. Crocker, spared no expense in creating a venue worthy of Hollywood's glitterati. However, his ambition extended beyond mere luxury. He sought to incorporate elements of mysticism and spiritualism into the property. Rumor has it that Crocker consulted with occultists during the hotel's construction, embedding symbols and artifacts believed to attract positive energy, and possibly otherworldly entities. While the intentions may have been noble, the results were decidedly mixed. Staff members have long reported strange occurrences in areas connected to these mystical influences, including flickering lights, disembodied whispers, and the sensation of being watched. Among the most chilling tales is that of the Lady in Red, a mysterious figure said to haunt the hotel's grand lobby and nearby elevators. Dressed in a flowing scarlet gown, she glides gracefully through the marble halls, her face obscured by a wide-brimmed hat. Witnesses describe feeling an overwhelming sense of dread as she approaches, her movements fluid yet unnatural. Several employees have claimed to see her board the elevator, only for the doors to close on an empty car. Others recount hearing blood-curdling screams emanating from the upper floors, followed by silence so profound it seems to swallow sound itself. Local legend suggests the Lady in Red met a violent end within the hotel's walls, though details remain shrouded in mystery. Modern-day visitors to the Roosevelt often find themselves caught in the crossfire of its spectral inhabitants. Paranormal investigators flock to the property year-round, drawn by its reputation as a hotspot for unexplained phenomena. Using advanced technology such as infrared cameras and digital recorders, they've captured compelling evidence suggesting the presence of multiple entities. EVP recordings reveal voices speaking in languages consistent with the hotel's historical periods, while thermal imaging footage captures fleeting images of figures standing motionless in doorways. Perhaps most disturbing are the reports of physical interactions, guests pushed, scratched, or even locked inside rooms by unseen forces. What makes the Roosevelt uniquely terrifying is its ability to blur the line between allure and unease. By day, it operates as a vibrant hub of entertainment, welcoming guests with red carpet events, rooftop pools, and gourmet dining. But by night, its tranquil facade gives way to something far more sinister. Those brave enough to explore its dimly lit hallways or venture into its shadowy alcoves often return with tales of inexplicable encounters. Doors slam shut on their own, chandeliers sway without a breeze, and faint laughter drifts through empty corridors. Even casual patrons sipping cocktails in the bar have described feeling an icy breath on their necks or spotting figures reflected in mirrors that aren't there in person. For those willing to embrace the unknown, the Roosevelt offers guided ghost tours and overnight paranormal investigations, allowing guests to immerse themselves in its haunted history. Participants recount being awakened by the sensation of someone sitting on the edge of their bed, hearing whispered names in empty rooms, or catching glimpses of translucent figures drifting past windows. Some claim to feel a sudden drop in temperature, as though passing through a portal into another realm entirely. What sets the Hollywood Roosevelt apart from other haunted hotels is its seamless integration of glamour and lore. It is a place where indulgence meets intrigue, where the same walls that shelter pampered guests also harbor restless spirits. Whether you're savoring a cocktail in the swanky Tropicana bar or braving the basement in search of ghosts, the Roosevelt demands respect, not just for its architectural splendor, but for the lives lost within its confines. As you ascend its grand staircase or sip champagne in its sunlit courtyard, remember, the Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel is not merely a destination for relaxation, it is a sanctuary for the supernatural. And if you choose to stay, tread lightly. You never know who might be sharing your suite. The Omni Parker House, Boston's beacon of history and haunting nestled in the heart of Boston, the Omni Parker House stands as a testament to timeless elegance and historical significance. Established in 1855, this iconic hotel has played host to luminaries ranging from Charles Dickens to John F. Kennedy, cementing its status as a cornerstone of American hospitality. Its rich mahogany furnishings, crystal chandeliers, and opulent banquet halls evoke an era of refinement and sophistication. Yet beneath its polished veneer lies a darker narrative, one steeped in tragedy, mischief, and the supernatural. The Omni Parker House is not merely a lodging establishment, it is a repository of ghostly tales that span centuries, each story adding another layer to its enigmatic allure. Point: one of the most enduring legends revolves around the infamous Elevator Girl, a spectral figure said to haunt the hotel's mechanical lifts. According to local lore, the girl was an employee who tragically fell down the elevator shaft in the early 20th century. Her exact identity remains a mystery, but her presence is unmistakable. Guests and staff alike have reported encountering a young woman dressed in period attire operating the elevators, her demeanor polite yet distant. What makes these sightings particularly eerie is the fact that the hotel's elevators are automated. There is no need for human operators. Reports describe the girl pressing buttons on behalf of bewildered passengers, only to vanish when they thank her or try to engage in conversation. Some claim to feel a sudden drop in temperature as she boards, accompanied by the faint scent of lavender. Another prominent ghost is Jeremiah Parker, the hotel's original owner and namesake. Known for his eccentric personality and unwavering dedication to perfection, Parker reportedly spent countless hours overseeing every detail of the property's operations. It is said that his spirit refuses to leave the premises, ensuring that his legacy endures. Staff members have recounted instances of lights flickering inexplicably, doors opening and closing on their own, and items being moved without explanation, all attributed to Parker's watchful eye. Some describe seeing a distinguished-looking man in a black suit patrolling the halls, his cane tapping rhythmically against the floor. When approached, he simply smiles and disappears into thin air. The hotel's most famous culinary creation, the Parker House Roll, also has ties to its haunted reputation. Legend holds that a disgruntled chef, frustrated with his demanding workload, cursed the kitchen before quitting abruptly. Since then, chefs working in the Parker House's bustling culinary quarters have reported unusual occurrences, from pots and pans flying off shelves to ovens turning on independently. One particularly harrowing account involves a sous chef who swore he saw a pair of disembodied hands kneading dough late at night, despite the kitchen being empty. The bread produced during these episodes reportedly tastes sweeter than usual, leading some to speculate that the chef's curse inadvertently bestowed a touch of magic upon the rolls. Moving beyond the kitchens, the Omni Parker House boasts several haunted suites that draw thrill-seekers and skeptics alike. Among them is Room 303, infamous for its connection to a tragic love story. According to folklore, a newlywed couple checked into the room during the 1920s, only for the groom to suffer a fatal heart attack shortly after arrival. His distraught bride remained in the room for days, refusing to leave until she too succumbed to grief. Guests staying in room 303 have described hearing faint sobs emanating from the bathroom, accompanied by the sensation of cold fingers brushing against their skin. Others report seeing a pale-faced woman in a wedding dress staring out the window, her expression one of eternal sorrow. Paranormal investigators have long been fascinated by the Omni Parker House, conducting numerous expeditions in search of answers. Armed with EMF meters, thermal cameras, and audio recording devices, they've captured compelling evidence suggesting the presence of unexplained phenomena throughout the building. EVP recordings revealed disembodied voices whispering phrases like, "Help me," or "Don't leave," while thermal imaging footage shows fleeting heat signatures appearing and disappearing without explanation. One particularly chilling episode involved a team member who captured a photograph of a translucent figure standing near the concierge desk, a man resembling Jeremiah Parker, complete with a top hat and cane. The Driscoll Hotel, Austin's crown jewel of haunted history in the vibrant city of Austin, Texas, where live music fills the air and eclectic culture thrives, stands the Driscoll Hotel, a towering monument to Southern elegance and historical intrigue. Opened in 1886 by cattle baron Jesse Lincoln Driscoll, this Romanesque revival masterpiece quickly became the crown jewel of Austin's hospitality scene. Its grandiose architecture, adorned with intricate stone carvings and soaring domes, reflects an era when Texas was emerging as a cultural and economic powerhouse. Yet beneath its polished exterior lies a darker narrative, one steeped in tragedy, betrayal, and the supernatural. The Driscoll Hotel is not merely a place to rest your head, it is a living, breathing entity where the past refuses to fade, manifesting in ways that challenge the boundaries of logic and reason. Jesse Driscoll himself plays a pivotal role in the hotel's haunted legacy. After pouring his fortune into the project, Driscoll found himself financially ruined following a series of bad investments. Devastated by his inability to sustain the business he had poured his soul into, he died of a stroke in 1890, just 4 years after the hotel's grand opening. Locals believe his spirit lingers within its walls, ensuring that his vision endures even in death. Employees recount seeing a distinguished gentleman in a three-piece suit pacing the lobby, his presence commanding yet non-threatening. Some describe him adjusting paintings or straightening furniture, as though maintaining the standards he set over a century ago. When approached, he simply nods and vanishes, leaving behind only the faint aroma of cigar smoke, a nod to Driscoll's penchant for fine tobacco. The Driscolls' most infamous ghostly resident is the Bride of 1930, a tragic figure whose story has become synonymous with the hotel's haunted reputation. According to legend, a young bride committed suicide in one of the hotel's luxury suites after learning that her fiancé had abandoned her at the altar. Her grief-stricken spirit is said to haunt room 525, where guests have reported hearing faint sobs and the rustling of silk fabric. Some claim to see her reflection in mirrors, her veil billowing as though caught in an invisible breeze. More disturbingly, several visitors have described feeling an oppressive weight pressing down on their chests, as though the room itself is suffused with her despair. Despite attempts to renumber or renovate the suite, the Bride of 1930's presence remains undeterred, a haunting reminder of love gone awry. Adding to the hotel's spectral roster is the ghost of Samuel Houston Driscoll, Jesse's son, who took over operations after his father's death. Known for his fiery temper and meticulous attention to detail, Samuel's spirit is said to roam the halls, keeping a watchful eye on staff and guests alike. Employees have reported tools going missing only to reappear in unexpected locations, while others describe hearing the sound of heavy footsteps echoing through empty corridors. In one particularly chilling episode, a housekeeper swore she saw a man resembling Samuel glaring at her from the doorway of a storage closet before slamming the door shut. When she investigated, the closet was empty, save for a single cigar lying on the floor. Beyond individual apparitions, the Driscoll is home to several areas notorious for paranormal activity. The Max's Wine Dive restaurant, located on the ground floor, is rumored to be a hotspot for ghostly encounters. Patrons have reported feeling icy drafts despite the warm Texas climate, while others described seeing shadowy figures darting between tables. One bartender claimed to have served drinks to a man seated at the bar, only to realize moments later that the seat was empty. The basement, once used as a speakeasy during Prohibition, is another site of frequent disturbances. Staff members describe hearing disembodied laughter and the clinking of glasses, as though patrons from another era continue to revel in secret. Thermal imaging footage captured during paranormal investigations reveals fleeting heat signatures moving through the subterranean space, lending credence to the idea that the Driscoll's underground chambers harbor unseen guests. Modern-day visitors to the Driscoll often find themselves caught in the crossfire of its spectral inhabitants. Paranormal investigators flock to the property year-round, drawn by its reputation as a nexus of residual hauntings and intelligent spirits. Using advanced technology such as infrared cameras and digital recorders, they've captured compelling evidence suggesting the presence of multiple entities. EVP recordings reveal voices speaking in languages consistent with the hotel's historical periods, while thermal imaging footage captures fleeting images of figures standing motionless in doorways. Perhaps most disturbing are the reports of physical interactions, guests pushed, scratched, or even locked inside rooms by unseen forces. What makes the Driscoll uniquely terrifying is its ability to blur the line between allure and unease. By day, it operates as a vibrant hub of entertainment, welcoming guests with live music, upscale dining, and opulent ballrooms. But by night, its tranquil facade gives way to something far more sinister. Those brave enough to explore its dimly lit hallways or venture into its shadowy alcoves often return with tales of inexplicable encounters. Doors slam shut on their own, chandeliers sway without a breeze, and faint laughter drifts through empty corridors. Even casual patrons sipping cocktails in the bar have described feeling an icy breath on their necks or spotting figures reflected in mirrors that aren't there in person. For those willing to embrace the unknown, the Driscoll offers guided ghost tours and overnight paranormal investigations, allowing guests to immerse themselves in its haunted history. Participants recount being awakened by the sensation of someone sitting on the edge of their bed, hearing whispered names in empty rooms, or catching glimpses of translucent figures drifting past windows. Some claim to feel a sudden drop in temperature, as though passing through a portal into another realm entirely. As we draw this first chapter of our haunted journey through America's most infamous hotels to a close, let us pause to reflect on the myriad stories that have unfolded before us. From the spectral elegance of the Stanley Hotel to the nautical nightmares aboard the Queen Mary, from the star-studded hauntings of the Hollywood Roosevelt to the timeless tragedy of the Omni Parker House, we have encountered a tapestry of terror woven with threads of history, emotion, and the supernatural. These hotels are not mere backdrops for ghost stories. They are living monuments to the resilience of the human spirit and the enduring power of memory. They remind us that the past is never truly buried. It breathes, it whispers, and sometimes it screams. This exploration of America's haunted heritage is far from over. In part 2 of our series, we will venture even deeper into the shadows, uncovering more chilling tales and forgotten legends. We'll step into places where time seems to stand still and the veil between worlds grows thin. Whether you are a skeptic seeking intrigue, or a believer chasing goosebumps, the next installment promises to deliver an unforgettable descent into the unknown. Until then, stay curious, stay brave, and remember, the darkest corners of history often hold the brightest truths. Thank you for joining us on this journey into the haunted heart of America. Keep your lanterns lit. We'll see you soon.